Two-handed bowling. Its origin is debated, but none question who's behind its rise to fame.
He's the greatest! He's the greatest!
With its flashy look and its potential for power, there's a reason it's taken the bowling world by storm. If you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering where to begin. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm the Two-handed Tour, and here are 5 tips that should help you get started as a two-handed bowler. Okay, tip number 1 is to watch video. This is probably the most important part of starting out, or at least it was for me. Most times I see people bowling, they've kind of just blindly decided to try it out, and that's okay, but you'll see a lot more progress if you decide to watch some video beforehand. So that being said, have a plan going into your first session. Make sure to take some video and compare it side to side with those who do it best. Here's a quick comparison between me and PBA champion Packy Hanrahan. The main things we want to look at are the footwork, the swing, and the release. Coming up in the next tip, I'll further explain what to look for in these things. Okay, on to tip number 2. Now that you've hopefully watched some video, let me give you a basic idea of what the two-handed form should look like. Alright, first things first, all you need is your middle finger and your ring finger. No thumb here. As mentioned, you're going to take your middle and ring finger and just put them in the ball and kind of cup the ball in your wrist. You want to make sure it stays in this position the entire time. Lastly, you want to make sure you rest your other hand on the ball. Because we don't use our thumbs, we have to rely on our other hand to provide that balance. Moving on to footwork. I take a 5-step approach, and I recommend that you do too. I'm a left-hander, so I start with my right foot. If you're right-handed, you want to start with your left. Next, let's look at the release and getting your hand out of the ball. At the point of release, your hand should be where it started off, behind and under the ball. Then you come up and around it, sort of like opening a door handle. If we see our ball making that inward spin and starting to hook towards the pins, then we know we got out of it right. The final component we're going to look at is the backswing. Your swing should start around your second step and should move in an upward and backwards direction. Alright, on to tip number 3, where I'll introduce you to some equipment. So you went out and tried bowling with 2 hands, and you had the time of your life. If this is something you are looking to commit to, now is the time to start looking at equipment. A big question that new bowlers have is whether they should get shoes first or a bowling ball first. In my opinion, I think you should get shoes first. Now, quick warning, this only applies for two-handed bowlers because we don't have to worry about a thumb hole fitting us, so we can kind of get away with throwing a house ball for now. Shoe rental is usually about $3, so you'll end up saving money in the long run, given you bowl enough. When buying some new shoes, don't cheap out, but also don't break the bank. Personally, I recommend the Dexter Ricky 4. This will run you around $50 to $60, which falls under that perfect price range for a beginner bowling shoe. Let's move on to bowling balls. For your first bowling ball, you want something weaker that'll give you control. Don't go spending $200 to $300 on your first ball because chances are your ball speed will be too low to control that amount of hook that you'll get out of one of those bigger balls. That being said, the ball I would recommend is really any ball from the Roto-Grip Hustle line. Now, one of these balls will run you around $120 to $160 depending on where you live. However, if your ball speed is lower, or you just want to play straighter angles, I recommend going with the Storm Tropical Surge. I'll also make sure to link a few more options in the description. Moving on to tip number 4, here we will talk about getting involved and finding some coaching. I'm sure you've heard it before, but make sure to join a league. Leagues are a great way to learn from other bowlers, and it's also a way to get you going out bowling on a regular basis. Another thing that helped me was actually joining a Facebook group. There are many groups made specifically for two-handed bowlers, and these groups are full of experienced bowlers that are looking to help you out. One last thing, if you're in high school, check if your school offers a bowling program. If it weren't for high school bowling, I wouldn't be standing here right now making this video. For my final tip, I'll be giving you some things to work on that should help you maintain your progression. The first and most important thing is to practice your corner pins. Every once in a while, just take an entire game to shoot corner pins. The difference between a consistent spare shooter and an inconsistent one is about 20 to 30 pins, just in average. The next thing to work on is consistency. Now, it may sound a bit obvious, but repeating shots is what separates a good bowler from a bad bowler. Whenever I go a while without coaching, I'll find myself straying into older habits. Alright, one more tip and I'll leave you alone. My final tip is to practice foul line drills. YouTuber Verity Crawley does a great video showing how to do this, so I'll link that in the description below. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to get back to you. With that being said, thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.